How to write highly effective copy. Different kinds of sales pages. When you have done your research and are ready to start writing, the first thing that you need to consider is the kind of sales page that you are going to write. There are three common types of sales pages used in online marketing. The first, and probably most widely recognized sales page format, is the long copy sales page. A sales page where there are several thousand words, so that the prospect who is reading the page has to continually scroll down in order to continue reading. Next, there is the short copy page, which is perhaps, not surprisingly, a short version of the previous example. And finally, there is the increasingly popular video sales pages, where there are minimal words on the page as the video does the selling. Now, if you are creating copy on behalf of a client, they will have told you exactly what kind of copy they want, almost certainly including such information as the minimum number of words required, whether bullet points and images are required, and if so, where they are to be placed, and so on. If, however, this is your own sales page, you will have to make the decision, with the most widely accepted rule of thumb being that the more expensive your product is, the more information there needs to be on the sales page to convince the prospects to buy. For the purposes of this manual, however, I am going to assume that you are creating a more traditional long copy sales page, because if you can do this, then creating the short copy page is just a simpler version of what you have already learned to do. Using ClickBank to find effective copy. Earlier in this manual, I suggested that when it comes to writing effective advertising copy, there is no sense in redoing all of the work that others have already done. Consequently, the first thing that you should do is study other successful sales pages to allow you to analyze what makes them successful, before replicating those success secrets in your own copy. Let's start with the best-known resource by turning to ClickBank to see what you can learn about successful sales pages. When you open any ClickBank results page, either by typing in a specific search term or by category, what you are presented with is the top 10 digital information products called up by that term or category search. It is often suggested that these 10 products are the most popular, but while there is an inkling of truth in this, what this search really demonstrates is far more interesting from a copywriting point of view, as I will explain. This is the top of the money and employment search page on which the top 10 products are shown. Under each individual product, there is a line of statistical information, which is data that ClickBank affiliates use in their research into whether an individual product is worth promoting or not. To the far right on every highlighted line, there is a figure for grav. This is a short version of gravity, which is often said to be a measure of the popularity of the product concerned. Any number above 100 points indicates that a product is very popular, so all of the products in the previous screenshot would appear to fall into this category. But here's the thing to bear in mind. Until a prospect finally decides to get their credit card out to buy an individual product, they have absolutely no idea whether it is worth spending money on or not. The product itself is not therefore popular with that individual prospect at the point when they buy. In effect, therefore, ClickBank statistics do not indicate product popularity because when the customer pays, they do not know whether they like it or not. What a high-gravity figure is therefore demonstrating in reality is that the sales page for the product is extremely effective, because it is really telling you that the product is selling well because the sales page copy is extremely effective. From a copywriting point of view, this means that ClickBank is presenting you with a detailed list of the sales pages that are generating the most sales. Hence, it follows that they are the pages with the most powerful and effective advertising copy. Okay, as you are looking for ideas for a long copy sales page, the next step is to check out the sales pages for products in the top 10 to find those that use the long copy format that have a grav figure in excess of 100 points. This is a very popular product at the moment that matches both of these criteria. Open the sales page up and start to read. Read through every section of the page, and as you do so, jot down your reactions and thoughts to these various different sections as you go along. If you do not do this, as one thought naturally follows another as you read, you will forget how you reacted on a section-by-section basis, meaning that you lose important information. Also, write down the phrases and terms that make the biggest impression on you as you go along, because if some phrases really ring a bell with you, it is likely they will do the same for other prospects viewing this sale page. All this information will eventually help you to start compiling swipe files, individual files where you collect together terms, phrases, or ideas from sales pages that work for you. You can then reuse these in the future in your own advertising materials. Start from the very top of the page with the banner or headline. Decide whether it works for you or not, and then try to analyze why you have arrived at your decision. In addition to the words on the page, consider the various page elements included, such as the video at the top beneath the main banner headline. CPA Insider swears under oath his zero-friction marketing methods are not illegal. In the next 7 minutes, I will show you exactly what I showed Sam. Undeniable proof these methods are real, legal, and copy-paste easy. Scroll down the page and look at the other features on the page. There is, for example, a bullet point list which highlights many of the major benefits of the product, something that every top copywriter will tell you should be included on a long copy sales page. In Zero Friction Marketing, I'm going to show you the one niche that will always be profitable, no matter how hard the economy tanks, and how to always stay one step ahead of the next hot trend. The 4 things a landing page must have to guarantee high conversions and return profits of 100% or more. The secret to matching the highest paying CPA offers to the most targeted traffic sites to create a surefire money in the bank ad campaign that literally pays you on autopilot. Why you should never run full page banner ads. The covert method to bypassing the middleman between you and the sale. This trick alone will increase your profits by thousands every month. There are lots of testimonials. Social proof is absolutely essential on a sales page if it is to be effective, and many of these testimonials are given face-to-face on video, which is becoming an increasingly popular and powerful strategy. There is an unconditional 60-day money-back guarantee, which is absolutely essential nowadays if you are to have any chance of selling, together with several links and buttons on the page where anyone who has already made their decision to buy can do so without continuing to the bottom. So, the makeup of the page is highly professional and follows a format that you could definitely follow yourself when you create your own sales pages. But there has to be more to it than that, right? Do you know why it works? When you're looking at a number of long copy sales pages, you will find some work for you and some don't. On a sales page that works, there may be some particular aspects or feature on that page that immediately spring out at you as making it effective, but sometimes what makes it work is far harder to discern. There may be words and phrases on the page which you add to your swipe file for use in your own copywriting efforts in the future, and if so, this is a perfectly acceptable and permissible tactic that is used by even the best-known copywriters in the business. But what happens where a sales page works and you can't figure out why? Frustratingly, there will be times when you study a sales page that flicks the switch for you, but you won't be able to understand exactly why, no matter how long you study it, to get to the core of why it works. Perhaps even more frustratingly, this is most likely to happen in the early days when you're just trying to launch your copywriting career, which is, of course, the time when you need the most help. Well, there is something you can do to get around this difficulty, a technique that I learned from one of the top copywriters in the business, John Carlton. But he freely admitted that he learned it from someone else, so it is not copyrighted knowledge. What John did in the early days to hone his copy analysis skills is something that I, and I guess hundreds of others, have done subsequently, and from experience I can tell you that it works like a charm. What you do is write it down. That's it, you write it down, no more or less than that. Or, more accurately, you copy the sales page that you are trying to analyze word for word with an old-fashioned paper and pen. You do not do so on a computer keyboard, because when you use the keyboard, your fingers are disconnected from your brain, and it becomes far too easy to copy in a comma if you use a computer. If, however, you write every single word from the sales page absolutely verbatim on a sheet of paper, then you will think about what you're writing. When you first try this out, it is unlikely that your epiphany will hit you at the first time of asking. So you might need to do it 2, 3, or even 10 times before you really understand what it is that makes that particular piece of advertising copy so effective. In other words, there could be some hard work involved here, but it is hard work that is more than justified in the long run. This strategy is just about the best way I know of developing your analytical skills to a point where you can skim through a sales page and pick up all the most important points in the space of a minute or two. Unfortunately, however, you cannot reach this running stage until you have gone through the phase where you have to put in the time and effort to learn to walk. But of course, this analytical strategy does not only work with ClickBank sales pages. It doesn't matter what kind of advertising copy you are trying to find the key for. If the copy works for you, you must write it down on paper, word after word, until you understand exactly why it works so well. For instance, go back to old-time ads on Ad Classics to discover what makes them so effective, what makes them tick. That if you read a couple of the ads earlier, you probably had no idea why they were so successful back in the day. So now is the time to find out. Analyze them by writing them down while thinking about what the ad creator is trying to do with every word that they use. As you do so, you will gradually learn how to recognize the strategy behind the advertising, the power words and phrases that drive strategy, and so on. Once you can do this, you are in a position to deconstruct any advertising or promotional copy before leeching every effective element of that copy for your own swipe files. Consequently, you will quickly build up a swipe file, or several, because you should have a headline swipe file, a bullet point swipe file, and so on. These files will quickly become invaluable resources from which you can create effective ad copy within a few hours after you have collected the relevant information through your initial research activities. Indeed, until you are in a position where you can confidently say that you really understand without any doubt exactly why one page works, whereas another doesn't, you should be prepared to don your analytical hat to do the work that will reveal the secret to you. Now, I am not going to attempt to kid you that this does not take work. But here's the thing to understand, the factor that justifies putting the work in, and especially in the early days. The top-level 5-figure copywriters did not get where they are today in a position to command huge fees for one sales copy page by winging it and being lazy. They put the necessary work in and did whatever it took to succeed. John Carlton is just one example, but you will meet many more in a moment that learn their trade in exactly the same hard way. However, as a consequence, they are now reaping the rewards of the efforts they made. In comparison, there are hundreds or perhaps even thousands of would-be copywriters who never got past square one because they were not willing to do the work. They wanted everything spoon-fed to them, but unfortunately in the copywriting world, this is not how it works. What you ultimately get out of copywriting is in direct proportion to what you are willing to put in, and there is never a better time to put the work in than at the very beginning, because this approach naturally sets you up for maximum long-term success. The sooner you can do a great job, the sooner the money starts pouring in. Success means 5 or maybe even 6-figure paydays, whereas anyone who wings it is going to be looking for something else to try in 3 months' time when they decide that copywriting is not all that it is cracked up to be. Every time you see ad copy that works, you must be able to say exactly why it is effective. You must be able to say exactly why it is effective as a second-nature reflex reaction. Once you reach that level of competence, you are truly set up to be a top-class professional copywriter, if you have not reached that exalted position already. Other top copywriters to follow and mimic. In marketing, whether it is in business on the net or in the real bricks-and-mortar commercial world, there is an oft-repeated and widely accepted adage that suggests that if you're going to learn from or copy anybody, you should always pick a top expert as the person who you are guided by or copy from. I have already mentioned John Carlton, and there are several more similarly stellar copywriting authority figures listed below, whose sites I would very definitely recommend you should add to your bookmarks folder. All of these guys are, or were, because unfortunately Gary Halbert is no longer with us, top-rated copywriters, many of whom acquired vast experience of marketing and advertising in the real world well before the advent of the net as an advertising medium. And here is the thing about every one of these sites. Every copywriter listed here got to the top of the tree because they are an expert in creating incredibly effective advertising copy, a lot of which can be accessed through their sites and blogs. Consequently, with your newly acquired analytical skills, you can steal super effective advertising ideas and copy from some of the top people in the business for your ever-expanding swipe files. The more copy, ideas, and information you have in your files, the easier it becomes to create top-quality, super-effective advertising copy at the drop of a hat, as you eventually reach a point where writing sales copy becomes similar to putting together a jigsaw or completing a join-the-dots puzzle.